Hi, hey, hello, how's it going? It's Emily. And today's going to be a fun vlog. So I normally don't do a separate vlog for this. I normally incorporate the books that I'm reading for the prompts for Kim's TBR game. I normally just incorporate them into other vlogs and don't make a separate one about this. But I figured this would be a good month to make a separate vlog out of it. One of my books that I already had fit one of the prompts perfectly. I know how to fit something in for the other two. So I figured it would just make a nice vlog. So if you're not familiar with Kim's TBR game, first of all, I will link everything down below. You can still join, so if that's a concern, you're concerned it's too late, absolutely not too late. You can still join a team, watch the live shows, and if you can't catch the live shows, you can always just watch the recording after. Not a big deal at all. And so basically she'll put you on one of 4 different teams. You go around a board and get different prompts, and it's kind of just a race to the end, essentially. And it's super fun. I'm not even kidding. I look forward to these live shows every single month, and if I can't catch it live, I will immediately watch it as soon as I possibly can, because it is just so fun. It's always so entertaining. It's great. It's great. Would highly recommend. And so I just wanted to give a special shout out this month and make it a separate vlog. So one of our prompts, I'm on Team Pirates, and we have a little pirate mascot that one of the team members made, or one of the people in the game made. And so we've got, each team has a little crochet mascot, and so I got one of those. He's absolutely perfect. I love him. And so I'm on Team Pirates, and one of our prompts this month was to, as a group, so some of the prompts are group prompts that you kind of coordinate with your team and accomplish together. So as a team, we need to read books inspired by Toy Story characters and get like a certain number of books inspired by Toy Story characters. And so I volunteered to take Sid, because one of the books on my TBR this month from my Formula One inspired TBR game, TBR Grand Prix. If you haven't seen that, little plug to go watch that. But one of the books I pulled was Long Live Evil by Sarah Reese Brennan. And I figured this would be absolutely perfect to represent Sid. Sid is one of the villains in Toy Story. And so I figured this would be absolutely perfect, because this follows a character becoming a villain in her favorite fantasy series. So we're following Ray, and Ray in the real world is very sick. She's battling cancer, not looking too good in terms of her prognosis. So, obviously her childhood has been dramatically affected, and she hasn't really been able to do a lot of the things that normal, quote unquote, kids would be able to do, because she's been so sick. And so, one night at her hospital, or one day in her hospital room, someone approaches her and says, "You have a chance to go into your favorite fantasy series. You'll become one of the characters. You'll play through the game, and your goal is to go to the Imperial Garden when this particular flower blooms and collect one of these flowers. If you collect one of these flowers when they're blooming, then you'll be able to wake up and be healthy. And if you don't, then you won't wake up." And so, considering her prognosis, she goes ahead and, at first, obviously, is like, "What are you talking about? This is a fantasy world. How can I go into a fantasy world?" And the woman's just like, "Walk through the door." And so our character Ray walks through the door and becomes one of the villains, one of the minor villains in her favorite fantasy series. And at the beginning of the book, we learn about her childhood. We learn about her dynamic with her sister. We learn about her and her sister's history with this fantasy series. And so she becomes one of the minor villains as that villain is about to be put to death. And so she needs to save herself, or save her character, and try to get out of that situation and try to figure out how to get to this Imperial Garden and figure out when this flower is going to bloom. So she's trying to collect information. She's trying to collect help from other villains along the way and kind of create a little band of villains that can kind of help do her bidding. And it has been so much fun, honestly. This is so creative, so fun. And I'm having such a fun time with Ray, as this character going around. And, of course, she's read the series. There are parts of it, especially in the first book, that she doesn't remember too well because it took her a minute to get invested in the series. So particularly before she got invested, her memory of exactly what happens isn't that great. But you see her trying to remember everything that happens, anticipate what's going on, and try to use that to her advantage to be able to get out of different situations and know where to get information and what alliances to form. And, different things in the book are happening, but her decisions are also changing certain things. So she's learning that certain things have been changed based on other things that have been happening. So she's trying to get a handle of what's going on constantly and constantly reevaluating, where she is, towards that goal of getting the flower and what she needs to do and how to manipulate the other characters and kind of play the role of this villain. And she's having a good time playing the role of this villain. And it's so fun to watch. And it's kind of interesting too, because there are a lot of things that she gets to do as this character that she never would be able to do in the real world, as sick as she is. She wakes up without pain. She is able to kind of form different relationships that she wasn't really able to. And so she's kind of getting to, in a sense, just live a little bit as this character. And she is trying to take full advantage. And I'm just having the best time kind of in this fantasy world, but also in Ray's head as this fantasy character and her trying to navigate that. It's been delightful. I don't hear enough people talking about this series, I think. So, or at least from what I've read so far, I'm enjoying. What page am I on? I'm past the 150 page mark. I'm in the 160s, approaching page 170 on chapter 14. So at least so far, I'm having a grand time. But I just wanted to go ahead and introduce this vlog, and I'll talk about the other prompts that the Team Pirates got as I pick reads for those. And I know what I would like to read, but I'll introduce the prompts as I introduce what books I'm actually reading for them. So in the meantime, I will just continue reading Long Live Evil, and yeah, I'm excited. So I am now finished with Long Live Evil. Had a really fun time with this one. Had fun with the twists and turns towards the end and all the politics happening. And there's not much more to say about the plot. I just had a really good time with this character coming into her own as this villain and as this character in another story I love her, exploring parts of the story that she didn't even know, not just because it's changing, but also because there might be something that's kind of a footnote or, something that seems small in the book, but when you're actually talking to that character about how that event impacted them, it feels like a much bigger deal, even if it's just a small part of the story. So things that are just kind of a blip on her radar as far as the plot, like she's exploring some of those more in depth and learning more about them. And again, everything is changing around her all the time, and she's trying to just navigate this and make decisions about who she wants to be in this fantasy world. And it was just so much fun, so creative, so fun. Definitely looking forward to reading the next one. I think the next one is already out. Is it going to be a trilogy? I'm not entirely sure. I need to double check, but I think the second one is actually out. I don't think Fairy Loot has done a matching edition for the second one, but I would love for them to, if anyone from Fairy Loot is watching and wants to make that happen. But yeah, so I will return once I come back to some of the prompts for Chem's TBR game. I was just introduced to another series that would meet the epistolary novel prompt, and so I'm wondering what I want to do, but I will return to this one. I need to get to some other books that I have checked out on audio from the library, so I need to kind of shift gears a little bit. But once I make a decision about what I want to read next for this vlog and actually be able to get to it, I will come back. So back with this vlog. It's a little bit later in the month, but we are back. And I've actually changed what I plan to read for the epistolary novel prompt. So that was one of the prompts we needed to fulfill for Team Pirates. And I was originally going to continue the Illuminae series, but when Reagan from Peru's Project first mentioned this series, I started to see it everywhere. And I just got so curious, and I thought I would really enjoy it and that it would be perfect because it's also pretty short. So literally the first one, I think there are 8 or 9 of these out at this point, and it took literally 2 hours to get through. What I'm referring to is the first installment in the Emma M. Lyons series. And so read the first one, again, literally took a couple hours, and was listening last night, this morning, got through it very quickly. This was a delight. So we're following, of course, Emma. These are her journal entries, which is why it meets the prompt. And she is following her adventures going back to London for the season. And so again, historically set, she's going to London for the season. Family situation, her parents have passed away. She's going to stay with a cousin of hers, an awful, awful cousin of hers, and she's waiting for her aunt to arrive for the season and kind of be a chaperone. And so, she's staying with her cousin. She had been taking care of, was it his sister? Had been taking care of someone and literally being a full-time caretaker for someone. And so I guess it wasn't a sibling. Was it his aunt? It was someone older. Anyway, she did this for 3 years and was promised, so she could take her salary little bit by little bit, or her cousin promised to hold on to it for her and give it to her when she got to London. And so that's what she chose to do. But of course, he doesn't give her the money. She's also supposed to get a salary or, an allowance of sorts, and also has not received that when getting to London and kind of getting settled. And so, literally its volume is her trying to figure that situation out, getting settled in London, like little bits of just stuff going on with the people around her. But honestly, this was just super charming and cute and fun. And I'm super excited to see where this goes. I'm excited to see her go through the season, interact with the people who are around her, and ultimately just was very quickly rooting for her. So would highly recommend at least with the first one. I'm very excited to just continue these when I need just a quick thing in between books, I guess. I don't know. We'll see. But definitely would like to continue with that one. I have also started Dungeons and Dramas. This by Christy Boyce. I'll again put an image here because I don't have a physical copy of this one. I do have a physical copy of the second book and forgot that it was the second book in this kind of, I think they're unrelated or companion standalones, and you could probably read them in whatever order, but the first one met the prompt, and so I decided to just go ahead and start with the first one, and then we can continue with the second one, right? So the prompt that we're going for here, it's a group prompt to basically create an orchestra. So really anything with musical instruments on the cover, and then we need to try to create an orchestra with musical instruments. And so this one has a lute on the cover. And we're following our main character, Riley, who is a theater nerd. She loves theater. She loves performing. She also loves or wants to get more into directing stage productions in particular. And so that's her dream. She's very involved with the theater program at her high school. And unfortunately, the spring musical has been canceled. It's been cut from the budget. And so they're not going to be doing it. She's extremely upset about this and is trying to find a way to make it happen, and then being the student director for that musical production. And so she's trying to see what she can do and work with the theater teacher on that and see if they can get a musical going. So she's also being punished by her parents. Her parents happen to be divorced, so she's only with one of them at any given time. But at one point, she took the car and drove with her friend to Columbus. She lives in a small town in Ohio. Went to Columbus to see a traveling production of a musical, Waitress, and got in trouble. She ran into traffic on the way back. She was supposed to be back before, I think she was with her mom at the time. I think she was supposed to be back before her mom was back from whatever she was doing. But yeah, got caught up in some traffic, got back later than she thought, whatever. Anyway, so she got caught and got in trouble. So her punishment is to work in her dad's store for 2 months. And her dad owns a gaming store, absolutely loves all types of games, and owns this store where they sell different types of games. They have a gaming room, all that great stuff. And so her punishment is to work there for 2 months. And there's a group of kids who have an ongoing D&D game that they play at that store. One of them doesn't really attend very frequently, and so they're trying to find another person, a fourth person who can be there more consistently, which she obviously fits the bill for because she's working there. And it's her dad owns the store, so maybe she can get a little bit of leniency as far as devoting that time to games. He really wants to get her into gaming, and so her dad is actually down for this. The reason she is wanting to do this also in part because she makes a deal with one of the other people who works there, who goes to high school with her. So they are not friends. He doesn't particularly like her. And they especially... that gets worse. I mean, they hadn't really interacted too much before, but when she comes in working at her dad's store and she doesn't even like games, he kind of gets annoyed that, she doesn't like games, but she's working at this store. She's going to have to learn a lot, or she's not really going to be able to help certain customers because she doesn't really know what she's doing or talking about when it comes to games. And I don't know, he's just kind of annoyed. So I don't really get off on a great foot here. And so the person that comes for this D&D game that can't really come very frequently or doesn't come very frequently is someone that he likes and potentially has an interest in. She's not really interested in, and the others are like, she's really only interested in what she can't have. Also, her ex comes into the store kind of flaunting his new girlfriend. She wasn't cast in the most recent musical production, but he was, and the other lead that got the part that she was auditioning for is his new girlfriend. And so they come in, and she, for reasons, had told him, kind of unintentionally told him that she was working there. So they come in, he's flaunting this new girlfriend, and she's fine with the relationship ending, but she just kind of gets annoyed that he's flaunting this girl in front of him. And so he's being a little condescending about her. Oh, someday you'll eventually find someone who's right for you, and blah blah blah. Like, go fuck yourself, dude. And so she kind of blurts out that, well, yeah, I have a new boyfriend. And to say a name to make it more believable, she says the name of the other person who works at the store with her who doesn't particularly like her. And so they agree to fake date to kind of save face with that situation, but also kind of make him unavailable to the person that he's actually interested in so that she can kind of help make that girl jealous and maybe potentially be interested in him. So they agree to fake date. And it's just super funny thus far. Like, I've laughed multiple times, and I actually wasn't sure when I got the second one. I actually forgot that these were YA and that the characters were in high school. And I thought that meant, I was kind of borderline. I was like, will I actually enjoy these? I don't know if I really am going to enjoy a contemporary YA story. Again, I'm just so past that time in my life. It just, I don't know, high school problems just seem very high school to me at this point. And so having characters that are in high school, kind of going back to that mindset, it's just not always something that is relatable or interesting to me. But I'm having a delightful time with this one so far. I'm very pleased to report. I just am loving her working at this game store and, trying to figure out like her passion for theater and trying to figure out what to do for the school musical. I absolutely love that. So I'm actually really into this so far, and I'm actually really, really excited to continue. And then hopefully at some point read the second one as well. But the first one is, again, what meets the prompt for our purposes. So anyway, that's the update now. And I will come back once I've either read more of or finished Dungeons and Dragons. Not Dungeons and Dragons. Dungeons and Drama. And give you my final thoughts. So here to wrap up this vlog, I have finished Dungeons and Drama. I've had such a struggle saying that. Finished Dungeons and Drama, and honestly had such a fun time with this one. I enjoyed this one even more than I thought I would. It was just super cute. I was really loving the gaming aspect of this. I was loving the theater aspect of this and her passion for theater and kind of getting more into the game space by working at her dad's gaming store for a little while, and how all of that came together, and that, her dynamic with Nathan. Anyway, I was just having so much fun with this one, and I'm actually really excited to continue the next one. The next one is Datings and Dragons. So at some point I will be continuing the series. I think there's going to be another one as well at some point that is coming out. So I had a good time and was a little bit nervous when I realized that I had purchased a young adult contemporary romance, when I don't tend to read those as much anymore. So pleasantly surprised. And if you're looking for just a cute, fun contemporary YA romance that centers gaming and theater, give it a go. Give it a whirl. Why not? And again, had so much fun with Emma Lyons, like that series. I'm excited to get to the next one. I actually thought they were all novellas, and then was looking more at how long each of the audiobooks are, and they get longer as they go on. Like, they become full-on novels once you kind of get later on in the series, which is exciting. I'm excited to continue that one and go along with Emma on her adventures trying to be a woman in the 1800s. And also had a lot of fun with Long Live Evil, and very excited to continue that one. And I think the next one is actually coming out in May. So I don't think it's out yet, but I think it will be out soon, which is very exciting. So thanks again to Kim for creating this game. It's always so much fun. It's always so much fun. And and I know it's a lot of work for her. And at least for me, I have so much fun joining the live shows every month and submitting the prompts and what I read for them, and hoping that our team wins, and it's just a good time. So I appreciate all the effort that she puts in to creating this, and wanted to once again highlight it. We might be pretty close to being done with this round of the game, but I'm sure she's going to be cooking up something else super fun. And again, you can join at any time, so it's not that you can't join at any time. So please do, again, check out the latest live show, or check out the live shows that have been going on for this round, just to kind of get a sense of the types of TBR games that she puts together. But she'll cook up something super fun, I'm sure, and it'll be great. It'll be great. I'm looking forward to the next live show, and if that's the one that we finish in, I'm looking forward to whatever she thinks of next. So be sure to go show Kim some love. Yeah, and I will put again the announcement, either an announcement video or the rules video, or like I'll put something, maybe the latest live show pertaining to it down below. Be sure to subscribe for more bookish content, including vlogs, a TBR game of my own, lots of fun stuff. So be sure to subscribe. I will leave my Pango store down below if you want to check out what used books I have there. I've got some great stuff, as well as my Etsy store, just a few designs with hopefully more to come soon. I will also leave more information below on how you can support the Black Lives Matter movement, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.